Silent Hill 3 is a survival horror game released in 2003 for the PS2. It was published by Konami and developed by Team Silent. With the original release of Silent Hill in 1999, it told the story of Harry Mason's trip to Silent Hill, his dealings with the religious cult and other residents of the town, and his search for his missing daughter. Now, 17 years later after the events of the first game, in Silent Hill 3, you play as Heather Mason, daughter to Harry Mason. Because Heather and her father have ties to Silent Hill and its history, she finds herself traveling there in order to solve the town's mystery and put an end to the cult. I enjoyed the game's story direction. The first game told a pretty clear story both directly in its plot and indirectly in the environments and lore. Silent Hill 2 had taken a step back in order to flesh out the impact of the unexplainable hauntings of the town itself. It explored the town's psychological effects on the people called to it. Silent Hill 3 returned to the direct actions of the cult within the town. I like both directions, and I think they're both valuable directions to explore. With this renewed focus on continuing the first game's story, Silent Hill 3 continues the main plot in a meaningful way, bringing with it great characters, emotion, and writing. Heather Mason as the protagonist is one of the best and most defining aspects of this game. Heather is an example of how you write a compelling and real character. She goes through a lot during the events of the game, and you can see all of her emotions come through in the writing and the voice acting. She is a young teenager that's outgoing and shows a variety of emotions. She's loving toward her father Harry. She can be blunt but caring. When she's upset or angry, she doesn't hold anything back and will always speak her mind. Heather shows a short temper and gets frustrated when she interacts with the adults, and justifiably so. They all seem to have their own motives and agendas. I was always interested in what Heather had to say when interacting with others, both friendly or otherwise, because of the fact that she speaks her mind. It was very refreshing and relatable when the protagonist questions all the weird horror phenomenon they experience in such a straightforward and sometimes joking manner in order to cope. Silent Hill 1 through 3 does such a perfect job using average and relatable characters for their protagonists. It goes such a long way in immersing myself and strengthens why these are some of my favorite horror games. When you examine anything, it'll be from Heather's point of view. She always has personal thoughts about what she's looking at, and a lot of personality and insight is shown through the writing. I loved all the supporting characters. They added to the plot and fleshed out the world of Silent Hill in an interesting way. They are unpredictable and interact with Heather throughout the game, keeping things really interesting. The residents of Silent Hill each have their own strong relationships and motivations unique to themselves that cause conflict with not only Heather, but each other. The lengths they go to achieve their goals is what makes them scary. One character in particular held my interest the most. They uttered a line that shook me. The character is known to speak carefully and never reveal too much. They surgically attacked what I thought I knew and made me question Heather's reality and sanity. The disingenuous delivery and confidence they showed left an impact, and I still think about that line. The game's pacing is really good. The scares and gameplay have the potential to exhaust the player. In order to keep that from happening, the game takes plenty of time to slow down and tell its story. The story is beautiful and it got me really emotional. It's focused and uses character relationships, music, notes and items scattered in the world, and the environments to express strong emotion. It's an unforgettable story told with quality and love. Despite Silent Hill 3 telling a story relating to the events of Silent Hill 1, I feel you don't need to play Silent Hill 1 first. I felt these strong emotions playing through 3 for the first time, despite not yet playing Silent Hill 1 first myself. Silent Hill 3 introduces you to the gameplay loop almost immediately, as you travel from area to area and explore different locations, solve puzzles, and survive. Exploration feels natural and locations are fun to explore. The maps are never overwhelming, and it's satisfying filling in the map by checking each room, being rewarded with ammo, health, weapons, and key items. The map is extremely detailed and helpful. It shows doors, labels rooms, save points, and points of interest, and updates in real time to show whether a door is locked and unlocked. The town of Silent Hill itself is a bit smaller this time around in terms of what you can explore, but that's because the game has you travel through more varied locations in and around Silent Hill as well. Silent Hill 3 doesn't use a HUD to display information. Instead, you must check your health, resources, and ammo count in the pause menu. While this could break up the pace, I think it's overall a positive aspect. Not having a HUD allows for easier immersion, along with cautious and focused play, as you need to maintain your knowledge of your own health and ammo. Something Silent Hill 3 does really well as a result of not having a HUD is subtly draw players' attention to the right places. When an interactable item is near Heather, she'll turn her head to face the item and give you a sense that something is nearby. This, combined with the fixed camera angles to highlight important items and locations, are great examples of subtle, smart, and immersive game design. Silent Hill 3 scares the player in very distinct ways. It uses the camera, environment, and sound design instead of loud, sudden jump scares. There's a constant sense of oppression the game naturally uses, but it also crafts scary moments during exploration that take advantage of the gameplay design and players' expectations. These moments were very well crafted and are experiences I won't forget. I enjoyed most of the puzzles in Silent Hill 3. A couple of the earlier puzzles used items in a weird way, but if you're observant with the environments and use the points of interest marked on your map, you'll be able to find the relationship between the items and the environments. There's also some traditional puzzles, and I thought most of them were strong inclusions. There is a hard and easy mode you can select for puzzles. Easy will make the puzzles easier to understand and a bit more accessible. However, hard puzzle modes in Silent Hill games are known for making the puzzle very cryptic and offering no help to the player. The inventory menu was clean and clear. Inventory is divided by items, weapons, and supplies, making it easier to sift through than previous games. Memos, and the map, and in-game options can also be found in the menu. Silent Hill 3 contains tank controls, and I don't mind it. The slower movement can strengthen the tension in a horror game as long as the game's designed around it. Excluding a couple enemies, I think most enemies in the game are designed with your movement in mind. The tank controls also make moving around in the areas with fixed camera angles a lot easier. This game's combat is a perfect balance of clunky and useful for a survival horror game. Your attacks have a lot of end lag. Attacks take commitment so that you need to take each encounter seriously and cautiously, and run if needed. A good survival horror game should let you feel weak. It should teach you to be smart with your health and resources, and that not every battle should be fought. You're given the tools to succeed, and smart play is satisfying and rewarding. Heather will find melee weapons and firearms. Heather will enter an attack stance by holding a button, then face to strike an enemy. Enemies can be knocked down and can be stomped on for more damage. Heather can also guard and take reduced damage for a short time. The timing on the guard is very strict, so it's something that can be useful once mastered. Most areas contain small corridors or rooms, making it so you can never get too far away from any enemy. In the late game, certain enemies can be really hard to avoid. It was a bit annoying having such a hard time avoiding damage. However, it's so far in the game that I was well stocked with supplies, and almost at the end of the game, so it didn't become a real issue. Boss fights were all unique, challenging, and memorable. They tested the player and used up resources to keep you from stockpiling too many items. Overall, this is a very balanced survival horror game. It succeeds at making the player feel weak, while keeping combat fair, and it rewards your exploration by keeping you stocked with essential but limited items. For those who have finished their first playthrough and want more out of the game, there are new endings and new secret items and weapons that will unlock for New Game Plus. Hard mode for combat and puzzles are available from the beginning. Every playthrough is ranked from 1 to 10 based on things like difficulty, clear time, number of game overs, and total damage. So once you master the game, you can play for score. New costumes for Heather can be unlocked by playing the game and putting in passwords. Silent Hill 3 has some of the best looking character models I've seen on the PS2. They're extremely detailed and facial animations are expressive. I think the environments in Silent Hill 3 are a natural conclusion to the Silent Hill art style. Environments are gorgeous and have strong visual identity. The real-world environments have an astounding amount of detail and are filled with unique objects. Even if you just look at the first area, the mall, as an example, you'll find clothing stores, bookstores, and bakeries that all have distinct-looking rooms filled with unique details. The storage and break areas behind the mall are filled with extra product, cleaning supplies, and bulletin boards. This amount of detail is found in every area in the game, and it makes these areas feel real, while emphasizing the horror atmosphere with its lack of people. The artistic direction of the Otherworld is another example of the natural conclusion to the Silent Hill art style. The Otherworld feels inspired, unique, and filled with artistic set pieces. There's a distinct cohesive theme of warm colors in the Otherworld. These areas use the existing real-world areas and twist the image into something horrifying. At times, Silent Hill 3 feels like a scary art house. The Otherworld is decorated with horrifying abstract imagery that is memorable, scary, and a treat to look at. Along with brand new locations, the game ties in areas from both Silent Hill 1 and 2, and adds other small references that add quality and consistency to the world, aside from them just being fun to revisit. Every core aspect of this game, The use of darkness, solid gameplay, art direction, and unique sound design perfectly blend together to create an unforgettable and oppressive atmosphere. The enemy designs in Silent Hill 3 are very unique and inspired. They move in interesting ways and make interesting sounds. The unpredictability in their look and designs goes a long way crafting a scary game. The enemy called Closer towers over Heather with strange proportions and odd movements. They're slow but attack by swinging their giant arms. The pendulum enemy has two torsos attached together. These enemies float in the air and make loud, sharp saw blade sounds that can be heard from anywhere in the room. The Slurper enemy crawls quickly along the ground. Their bodies move erratically and make weird cracking noises. These are just a few examples of the distinct enemy designs you'll only find in a Silent Hill game. The sound design is amazing. The music and enemy sounds are heavy and oppressive. The sounds are loud and unidentifiable. These strange sounds create an unknown atmosphere that's truly scary. The game perfectly balances the use of sounds along with the absence of them. When the game is quiet, it strengthens the other elements like the noises in the environments, or it allows you to focus on the visuals or the puzzles around you. The composer Akira Yamaoka is one of my favorite video game composers, and his work on Silent Hill 3 is some of his best. Yamaoka is skilled at crafting both traditional music with a strong melody, and creating more abstract music with a focus on unique sounds over a strong melody. Silent Hill 3's soundtrack contains a mix of traditional Hollywood-esque tracks, ambient tracks, and loud oppressive tracks, all of which are important to strengthen different aspects of the game. The traditional Hollywood-esque tracks, like the song You're Not Here, that play during the opening trailer, add scale and production. It breathes energy and life in order to pump up the player to want to play through the game. Loud oppressive tracks like From Below and Subway Trouble, that can play while near enemies, try to panic the player and put fear into them, to test their concentration and ability to make smart decisions in tense moments. Ambient tracks like Breeze and Monochrome Night, and A Stray Child, can allow players to slow down and catch their breath in order to pace the player. This same ambient style, while quiet and calming, can even be twisted to convey the opposite emotions like fear of the unknown. You might not be in immediate danger, but you know things aren't right and it conveys that unsettling feeling. Heather Mason's voice actor, Heather Morris, did a phenomenal job. The amount of emotion Morris adds to the role cannot be understated. Her delivery feels natural and you learn a lot about Heather Mason's character just from the way she speaks. The variation in Heather's delivery is just as varied as the emotions the character shows in the game.
Dad, it's me. Yeah. Sorry I didn't call sooner. Yeah, I guess I was. Anyway, I'm coming home now. Oh, I didn't get that thing you asked me to. Okay. Okay, I will. I love you too, Dad.
The antagonists and other mystery characters' dialogue can be stilted at times, but I think it, unintentionally or intentionally, works to strengthen them. Their delivery is uncanny and intriguing. It strengthens the separation between what kind of people they are compared to Heather. The character Douglas that you meet early in the game is the only voice that feels off to me. I love his character, he was my favorite, but his voice delivery is extremely slow, light, and flat. His voice can suck the life out of some of the scenes.
Heather, I need to speak with you. My name is Douglas Cartland. I'm a detective.
A detective? Really? Well, nice talking to you.
Overall, the voice acting contains small hiccups in quality, but at its best it can't be matched. Konami had a say in the direction they wanted Silent Hill 3 to go in, and it differed from Team Silent's original plans. Originally, Silent Hill 3 would have been more in line with Silent Hill 2's inner psychological horror. That kills me inside, as I would have loved to have seen another title in the same vein as Silent Hill 2, and to have seen another game where Team Silent had complete creative control. I respect Team Silent's drive and ambition to try something new and unique with each title, but at the end of the day, they still worked under a company that only cares about profit. After Konami's influence, they made a game that continues the story of the first in order to tie up Silent Hill 1's loose ends. Despite my personal disappointment, I think they still did amazing work given the direction they were forced to go in. Friendly reminder to not play the HD remaster of Silent Hill 3. This version was released on the Xbox 360 and PS3 in 2012. The original final release files of the PS2 versions were either lost or thrown out, so the HD version of Silent Hill 3 uses an incomplete version of the game as its base. This version contains bugs, frame rate issues, missing textures, and audio-visual glitches. The HD version of Silent Hill 3 also contains new voiceovers, and you're unable to choose between those and the original recordings. The scenes weren't adjusted to fit the new voice recordings, so the timing and lip syncing is off. With all due respect to the HD voice actors, their voices don't suit the characters at all. I talked about how I find the Silent Hill characters in particular to be very average and relatable, and the original voice acting helps sell that feeling for me. The original voices can be stilted and flat at its worst, but can't be matched at its best. The new voices, while consistent, feel like they give a movie star-like delivery in their lines, and just don't provide the same feeling or relatability that the original voices do. That all being said, the only way to play the original release is to track down a PS2 and a copy of Silent Hill 3 on the PS2. It's not available digitally anywhere unless you look into other means like the PC and its fan-made HD versions in the PC modding scene. As far as which Silent Hill games you should play if you're looking to get into the series, my opinion's that you're fine with either starting with Silent Hill 2 or Silent Hill 3. My personal favorite is Silent Hill 2 because of its introspective psychological horror. Silent Hill 3 manages to take some of the best qualities of Silent Hill 1 and 2 and tell a new story with unique characters. It also contains the most streamlined controls, menus, and mechanics of the series. With Silent Hill 2 being the best horror game that I've ever played, I would easily put Silent Hill 3 right after it. The characters, story, writing, production, atmosphere, sound design, and environments were all stunning. The type of horror is so unique, subtle, and unreplicable. It features some of the best gameplay the survival horror genre has to offer, and I think it's well worth the effort to seek out a copy of this game and play it. Thanks for watching the video. If you want to see more like it, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. I also stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/RyanBeardy. Follow me on Twitter at RyanBeardy, and I have a Discord with the link below.